Well, looks like I won't be needing this anymore. Ravens flock. What's going on, everybody? You know what? I don't need to ask if you're enjoying your day because I know you're not enjoying your day. There's no Ravens fan out there right now that's enjoying their day if you have heard this news. This right here, I was not expecting to get this today. We always had speculations about this being the case, but we just didn't know. And for this to come out today of all days, man, it's crazy. This is just where we are, ladies and gentlemen. Our Ravens flock, we are not in a good position right now. We are not in a good position right now at all. This is terrible. This is terrible. So if you don't know what's going on, Lamar Jackson today on Twitter basically wrote a letter to the fan base to explain where his mindset kind of is right now and some of the things that have been happening behind the scenes. So I'm just going to read it. I have it open right here, and I'm just going to read it word for word from the man himself. A letter to my fans. I want to first thank you all for all of the love and support you consistently show towards me. All of you are amazing, and I appreciate y'all so much. I want you all to know not to believe everything you read about me. Let me personally answer your questions. In regards to my future plans, as of March 2nd, I requested a trade from the Ravens organization for which the Ravens has not been interested in meeting my value. Any and everyone that has met me or been around me knows I love the game of football and my dream is to help a team win the Super Bowl. You all are great, but I had to make a business decision that was best for my family and I. No matter how far I go or where my career takes me, I'll continue to be close to my fans of Baltimore Flock Nation and the entire state of Maryland. You'll see me again. Trust. And then, he talks about subscribing to his fan page. But there it is, ladies and gentlemen. Lamar Jackson basically came out and officially told us he wants out. As of March 2nd, he officially requested a trade from the Baltimore Ravens. And as of right now, we have no idea where that stands. But in terms of where Lamar Jackson's mindset is, he's done. He wants out of Baltimore. They don't want to pay him the money he wants, so he wants out. That's just where we stand right now. With this being the case, it makes a lot more sense about the reports that we were getting about the Falcons and Ravens making a lot of heavy progress in terms of a trade for Lamar Jackson. Because we heard that way back in the beginning of March that the Ravens and Falcons were talking about a trade for Lamar Jackson, and it was making a lot of progress. With that report coming out, it was questionable as to whether or not, that was fully legitimate because we weren't hearing anything about the Ravens trying to trade him. But now that Lamar has said he requested a trade, that situation now becomes a lot more interesting. And I look at that as a situation where they decided, well, he doesn't want to be here anymore and he's not taking the deal we want to give him. Yeah, let's trade him. But that one wasn't able to get done in time before the tag deadline. So they ended up franchise tagging him. And all of a sudden, Atlanta changed their mind and said, we're no longer pursuing Lamar Jackson. So now here we stand. Lamar Jackson wants out. The Ravens don't want to pay him what he wants. And he's currently on the non-exclusive franchise tag, which means teams can throw offers at him. And it's up to the Ravens to match those offers. Otherwise, they lose Lamar for 2 first-round picks. We have no idea what's going to happen with the situation. But I hate that it's come to this. And I told you guys this way back. I said this earlier. This shouldn't be a complicated situation, okay? Ravens, make a decision. You either pay the man what he wants or you trade him. There's no in-between. You already fumbled the bag for letting it get to this point. Either give him the money he wants or trade him. It's one or the other. This shouldn't have taken this long, but here we are. And even though we're at this stage, it still doesn't mean anything because we're going to get into that about Lamar Jackson's trade value because we got to talk about that. But right now, this situation is not good. Here we are. I said this. Make a decision. Pay him his money or trade him. I have been very adamant in saying this when it comes to players. A superstar player does not have to compromise their value. They have no reason to make a compromise for a franchise. These owners never make compromises. They're not making compromises for things that they want. So why should the players do so? I say this with the NFL. I say this with the NBA. The only difference is the NBA, the players actually have the power there. So if there's a superstar player that wants something, he's going to get it. If he wants to get traded, they're not going to hold on to him. they're going to trade him. If he wants certain money in the contract, they're likely going to give him because he is a superstar. Superstar players do not have to compromise what they want. We see that all the time in the NBA. Unfortunately, the NFL is not like that because the players don't have that level of control. So if teams don't want to give you something, they're not going to give you it. And even if you want to be traded, it doesn't mean you're going to get traded. So here we are with this Lamar Jackson situation. They're not giving him what he wants, and he wants out. But how do you let him get out? How do you trade Lamar Jackson? That's a difficult question. That's a real difficult question. First of all, let's kind of focus in on this whole situation in terms of Lamar wanting to leave and the Ravens in terms of how they've handled the situation, as well as how Lamar has handled the situation, because we got to be able to be clear and state this. Both of them haven't handled this situation the best. I mean, Lamar, it's been reported, Lamar at times has not exactly, picked up the phone or answer phone calls that were coming from the Ravens front office when they were trying to reach out to him about negotiating a contract. So he definitely did make it difficult, which again is tough. But we already know he was doing that. That's a tactic because he wants to get the deal he wants to get, and he's just killing more and more time in order to increase the value. The longer that goes, the higher his value increases and the higher the salary cap gets and the more money he can make. So at that time, him not taking the calls was just a way for him to try and earn more money or to try and put the pressure on the Ravens to pay him the money he wants. That didn't work at the time. But him being unwilling at that time definitely is something that will cause an issue there. So it's not like Lamar is completely innocent throughout this entire process. I think both sides have a huge factor of responsibility that they have to take for this situation not working out. Like I said, Lamar, he doesn't have to compromise what he wants, but he did play some roles and factors into this contract not getting done. Obviously, the reason he did that was because he wanted what he wanted and he wasn't going to compromise, but it does still count as him being, him having to take responsibility for how things turned out. He is partially responsible for that. As for the Ravens, y'all fumbled the bag. I told you guys this. I said it. If we lose Lamar Jackson, it's over. It will be the biggest failure in franchise history. It will be the biggest stain in franchise history. It will be the biggest disappointment in franchise history. Losing a player of this talent, especially at the quarterback position, which is rare to get, to lose a player of that stature because you can't pay him the money he wants. That is going to be a huge stain. We're supposed to be one of the model franchises, but we can't even sign our franchise guy? I'm telling you right now, the Ravens, their reputation around the league has taken a massive hit because of this Lamar Jackson situation. Good luck trying to get free agents here now, especially on the offensive side. If you're a defensive player, you're probably going to want to come to Baltimore because that defense is great. But if you're an offensive player, why the hell would you even look at Baltimore? Offensive players weren't coming to Baltimore before this situation happened. They're definitely not coming here afterwards. I mean, our reputation is taking a massive hit. How can you look at the Ravens and say they're one of the well-run franchises when they can't even get this situation done with their quarterback? You can't even get your quarterback extended. Your franchise guy, you can't get a contract done with them. And the fact that you waited this long to get it done, yes, I understand that Lamar also has a lot to blame for that because he was also the one delaying it. But I'm not speaking about the last 2 years because they've been trying to get this done for the last 2 to 2.5 years. That started right around the 2021, well, not the 2021 offseason, but the 2020 offseason, heading into the 2021 season. That's when they really began negotiating contracts. That was around the same time Josh Allen and the Bills were negotiating a contract. The Bills got it done. We didn't get it done. My thing is, I think the Ravens waited way too long. This is the biggest mistake, and it looks like it's going to cost them Lamar potentially. They should have been negotiating a contract the second Lamar Jackson won MVP. So after that 2019 season, heading into the 2020 season, that's when contract negotiation should have been done. Had that been the case and Lamar was still ducking and saying no, I can understand. If Lamar was literally delaying it at that time and not doing so, it made sense. But the fact that you waited after he won an MVP to not negotiate with him, I think that's the biggest mistake. Because you gave Lamar an opportunity to truly sit back and see how the market's going to grow. That's your mistake. You don't give a quarterback that opportunity. You don't give any player that opportunity. The minute that player seems like they turn into a Super Bowl, they turn into a superstar, and it looks like they are the guy that can help you win a Super Bowl, you need to get him signed immediately. Do not waste time. Lamar turning into an MVP after that season should have been in contract negotiations. They should have thrown him a deal, and 9 times out of 10, hell, I'll say there's a good chance that 100% of the time he might have taken that deal at that moment. if you start negotiating a contract with Lamar Jackson, a guy that's arrived as a superstar and looks to be a player that can help you get to a Super Bowl and potentially win one, you get a contract done right there. You don't wait. You don't. But you waited a year. And that year-long wait looks like it's going to cost you Lamar Jackson. So, yeah, the Ravens waiting too long was an issue there, and I think that's the biggest factor as to why we are in this situation right now. But, yeah, Lamar also has to take responsibility for how he's low-key not been too active in trying to negotiate contracts with them, especially over the last year, which again, he's been doing that as a tactic to get the money he wanted to increase his value. I understand why he's doing it, but that still counts as an issue. He does have to take part responsibility for this not working out because he wasn't even trying to negotiate with the Ravens at the time. He already set his price. He wasn't trying to negotiate and compromise. So yeah, he takes part responsibility, but we do understand the reason behind his actions because he wanted to get the money he wanted to get. And it didn't work, and now he's ready to go. So yeah, the Ravens are really looking bad because you're looking at the last couple years, some of your key players went out. This offseason, your franchise guy wants out. Last year was Hollywood Brown. The year before, it was Orlando Brown Jr. So who's next? Patrick Queen's probably up next to ask for a trade. This does not look good for the Ravens. I'm telling you, their reputation is taking a huge hit from this. It's taken a massive hit from this. And I do not know if they're going to be able to regain that level of respect. You fumbled on Lamar Jackson. However you guys want to feel about it, for all the people in the Purple Patrol that's going to sit back and defend this team to the ends of the earth, understand this. The Ravens fumbled the bag. I don't care what excuse you want to throw there. They fumbled the bag. And for the rest of the fan bases out there, for the rest of the league, for how the media is going to look at the Ravens, they're going to be viewed differently. The Purple Patrol, they can throw whatever excuses they want to throw to defend the Ravens. No one's going to give a damn. You fumbled the bag. And for that, the way you're going to be viewed moving forward and the reputation you're going to have in this league, it's going to change, bro. It's going to change. We're going to be viewed vastly differently moving forward, especially if we lose Lamar Jackson. But that comes down to it. Do we lose Lamar Jackson? Here we have a guy that seems to be done with the Ravens organization and wants to move on. Why? Because they don't want to pay him the money he wants to be paid. So now it comes down to this. If the Ravens truly want Lamar Jackson here, if they truly don't want to lose him, if they truly believe that this is the guy that they can't afford to lose under no circumstances, then it's time to fold. I'm serious. It's time to fold. Pay the man the money he wants, and let's move forward with this. Or you could do option 2, which will keep this journey going and could lead to a very nasty end. They could choose to not pay Lamar the money he wants, and they could choose to not trade Lamar. Lamar Jackson will have to report. Here's the thing. This is a guy that has actively said he's looking to help a team win a Super Bowl. He has actively said that. This is a guy that everybody around him has said he wants to win a Super Bowl. He talks about wanting to win a Super Bowl every single year. The Ravens don't have to trade him. He'll have to report to training camp, and he'll have to play this season. I've said this. Lamar Jackson is not going to give up a year of his prime just for this contract situation. So the Ravens can choose to not pay him, and Lamar will have to report. I don't see a situation where Lamar is going to miss this upcoming NFL season if he's on the Ravens roster. So the Ravens could continue to play this game and hope he changes his mind. I don't see it happening, but they can always try that. They could choose not to fold and keep Lamar Jackson here at the end of the day. That's an option they can do. Last but not least, we have to talk about his trade value. Like I said early on, the Falcons, we heard a report about them wanting to trade for Lamar Jackson and them and the Ravens in talks, and it seemed like there was a lot of progress made, but unfortunately that trade was not able to get done before the tag deadline came. So all of a sudden that kind of got canceled out, and then the Falcons came out and said, we're no longer interested in pursuing Lamar Jackson. So right now, we all know that Lamar Jackson is currently on the non-exclusive franchise tag, which means teams can throw offers at him, and the Ravens will have the opportunity to match that. It's up to them to be able to match that. If they can't match it, they lose him for 2 first-round picks. Right now, we've heard no team showing any sort of interest in that. We've had no reports about that. We don't know how things are going to go in this aspect. So if nothing comes of it, what happens then? If you're in a situation where no one is giving him anything in a franchise tag, then how can you expect the team to trade for him? because this is an opportunity to negotiate the contract now and get him for 2 first-round picks, which is not that bad of a loss. But if he's going to get traded, Lamar Jackson is going to be traded for a huge haul of picks. You're going to get several picks traded and maybe a player or two. So my question is, with this being thrown on the table, who the hell is going to trade for Lamar Jackson? If the Falcons are truly out, who the hell is going to trade for this dude? Because you're going to have to give up multiple picks and you're going to have to sign him to a max contract. What team in the league wants to do that right now? Looking around the NFL, what team is willing to do that right now? I'm serious. This situation is kind of similar to how the Carmelo situation went. Not in terms of the whole scope of, okay, they want to give me a contract and I don't want to do that. I'm talking about in terms of the trade aspect. Because the Knicks, they wanted Melo. And Melo was going to be a free agent that offseason. But they didn't want to risk him going to free agency and them not getting him. So they traded a massive haul to get Melo. A lot of players were put up there. Their key role players were given up to get Melo. And then they gave him the contract he wanted. But when you looked around the Knicks, they no longer were a team that could compete, because the pieces that would have helped them compete for a championship were the pieces that they gave to get Melo in the first place. They gutted the team to get Melo, and that left them with a team that could make the playoffs but not really go far. This situation is kind of similar, because if you're a team that's going to get Lamar Jackson, you're going to have to give up major draft compensation and probably a player or two. So you could potentially gut your future with those picks and lose out on some aspects that could really help your team. And you're going to have to pay this man a max contract, which will make it difficult to bring other guys into your team. So who out there in the NFL is going to make the trade? Who wants to deal with that right now? It's one thing if it's the offer situation with the non-exclusive franchise tag. You're giving up 2 first-round picks, which is already difficult. But with a trade, you're giving up more than just 2 first-round picks. You're giving up a lot for a player like this. And you're going to have to sign him to a max contract. What team out there right now in the NFL wants to do that? So I don't even know if there is a trade market for him. We're not seeing anything happening right now in terms of a market in general for him regarding this non-exclusive franchise tag. So what trade market can be out there for him? If the Falcons are out, who's next? We threw teams in the past like the Commanders and the Dolphins, but the Dolphins are dedicated to Tua. That doesn't look like it's going to happen. And the Commanders we've heard reports that the Commanders aren't interested. We've heard reports that they're not interested. Now, me personally, I would love for the Commanders to get involved in this, because I look at the Commanders and I see a team that just needs a franchise quarterback. They're one franchise quarterback away from truly competing in the NFC. And I feel like if they got Lamar Jackson, they'd be one of the favorites to go all the way to the Super Bowl, especially in the NFC. But the Commanders, as far as we've heard, have no interest in trading for Lamar Jackson, have no interest in pursuing or seeking Lamar Jackson. So I don't know what you do with that situation. But yeah, I don't know how many teams are really looking to get him. Right now, the teams that are looking for a quarterback, it seems like they're going to go the way of the draft and see if they can get one of these young guys to be their next face of their franchise. Other teams that aren't looking for a quarterback but are kind of in a situation where they don't have a franchise quarterback, either they don't have the amount to get to Lamar Jackson, or they just aren't looking to give up that amount to get Lamar in the first place. So what do you do in this situation? How does Lamar get traded? That's a question that has to be brought up. It's interesting. It's very interesting that he asked for a trade, and obviously that shows he's done because the Ravens don't want to give him his money. But how will you go about trading him? What value? Where? What team is going to give up that amount for that type of quarterback? Hell, what team is going to give up that type of money for any type of quarterback? That's a huge haul. That is a huge haul you're going to have to give up, because you're going to give up a huge haul and then you're going to have to sign him to a max contract. What team's willing to give that up for any quarterback right now? Just the state of things right now. What team is willing to give that up? I don't know what you do. I honestly don't know what you do. This is a situation that continues to get messy, and I was hopeful that him being put on the non-exclusive franchise tag would be the final stages where we can end this, but it doesn't seem like we're at that point. It really doesn't, because I don't know what the Ravens do at this moment. I don't know what they do in this situation, and honestly, it just gets messier and messier. At this point, they can either choose to fold and give Lamar the money he wants and we can settle this, or they can choose to stay the way they are now, continue to have him on the tag, and continue to try to negotiate with him, which obviously he doesn't look like he wants to negotiate. He's not going to compromise. And I've already said this. Superstar players don't have to compromise what they want. The owners don't compromise what they want, except when it comes to them compromising with each other. But they don't compromise for the sake of their team that they own or the players that they employ at their organization. They don't compromise for these guys. So why does a superstar have to compromise? I don't know what the Ravens do in this situation, but it's gotten very messy, man. And honestly, however things go, whether we have Lamar Jackson or he's traded, whatever happens, I just want the situation done. I'm tired with all of it, bro. With that being said, that's all I got. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'm out of here, man. Peace.